Hi, everybody. Happy evening. I am so excited that we have everybody here. Let me hold on. Make sure that can everybody hear me okay? I don't know if you have me on in the background, cheekbones or not. You may need to turn me off in the background just because I think I'm hearing me. Are you here? Are you here? Are you here, Miss Sonia?
I am here.
Oh my goodness. Say
Believe it or
hi.
not.
We are so excited to have you. We are only 34 little souls at the moment, but I promise you it is probably going to change very, very soon. So if anybody wants to put out, hey, everybody, anybody wants to put out in their social media that we are here with a registered dietitian about to take a look over at Foodie Beauty's meal, we're going to look at the potato chinois. I don't know if that's pronounced correctly, but first, actually, Sonia, I'm going to tell everybody a little bit about yourself, a little bit of background, kind of the folks that you work with, and introduce yourself. I'm just going to let you take the stage.
Oh, well, thank you. I got interested in nutrition later. I tell people I have past lives. I've been a legal secretary. I worked in the insurance industry for a decade. I got interested in nutrition and went back to school as a non-traditional student. I graduated from the University of Mississippi, go Rebs. And
I hear a little accent there.
People tell me I have an accent. I don't hear it.
No,
But
I don't hear mine either.
but I graduated from Ole Miss in 2008 and did my internship with through Marywood University in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and have been a registered dietitian since 2009.
Wow.
I have worked acute care. I have worked oncology. I have done long-term care, skilled. I've worked in dialysis units, wound care, weight loss, diabetes education, you name
it. Oh, excellent. Well, I think the audience tonight is going to certainly benefit. And I know that I get quite a lot of views on the replays too. So I hope this is not the first time that you come and join us. I hope that we can have you back again. I hope come back. So I hope this is not the only time that you join us, Miss Sonia.
Absolutely not.
Sonia, or do you go by cheekbones? You tell me.
Excuse me?
Which name would you prefer to go by? You know, that's how we always work in healthcare.
It doesn't matter to me, Sonia or cheekbones. Actually, Chantal was the one that gave me my cheekbones name, so I'm sentimental about that. But either one.
Right. Well, why don't you tell the audience before we start, diving in? Because I think your background's excellent, and I think you've got a lot to bring to the table. And so, before we get into it, what I hope to do, and if you obviously like this type of content. Now, Cheekbones, do you have a channel here on YouTube that you want to give a shout out to at all that we want to do before we get further here?
No, I am off the grid. No,
but you're on the grid with me tonight. And like I said, we do get quite a few. We're building quite a lovely community here. Somebody left me an excellent comment because it had been recommended to go live after the hours of Jeopardy. and somebody commented that was the most wholesome comment they had ever seen in the history of Girl World. We'll take it. We'll take it over here with this community. We'll take it all day. But why don't you tell the audience, like every healthcare provider, we obviously, we've all had a history of doing, all types of different types of patients, all types of healthcare situations, and so forth. And so I want to know, you reached out to Foodie Beauty, I understand. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about that and a little bit about maybe trying to work with patients like Chantal. And then we're going to look at this really healthy meal that she's making. I don't know if you had a chance to take a peek, see the video. And
Yeah.
we'll see, maybe make some recommendations along the way as to how maybe it would be healthier. I don't know, like Chantel, we probably need to be impatient at this point, as we all know.
Yeah, oh gosh, this was years ago.
Oh, is the camera frozen? Hold on, guys. Hold on. Supposedly, I have terrible internet. Hold on. Hold on. Am I coming in now, guys? I'm trying to get this to work. Am I coming in better? Hold on. The camera froze. Is there a picture tonight? Am I coming in? Hold on. Let me, what I'm going to do, cheekbones, you just don't come off, okay? I'm going to, like, refresh my screen. Oh, the audio is terrible too. Oh gosh, I think it's because my internet is not great at the moment. So hold on. My internet is off. Internet is low because it's probably everybody is on the internet because it's raining. Internet. Let's see. Yeah. All right. Let me refresh. You hang on. I'm gonna remove you from the stage real fast. Okay. Let me see. All right. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm going to just reload and see if that helps the situation. Mine was bad for the stream tonight. Oh, okay. Let me just, I'm going to reload. Stage. And hold on. Let me add you to the stage. No, why do I have 3 people? I'm only supposed to have 2 people. Can I remove one of me? Hold on. There we go.
You know, I'm a twin, so you can be.
How's that, everybody? Is it coming any better? Try turning it off and then back on again. Yeah, I just refreshed and it looked like it was okay. You've malloning. I did. Can everybody hear us now? I don't. Gosh, it's the rain. Can everybody hear me now? I'm trying to get better. Let me open the door for my internet. Oh. You can see the internet is low. Everything looks fine. Okay. How's that? Is that coming in better, guys? Is that better? Mercury in retrograde? Try doing audio only. Okay, let me try that. Yeah, okay, let me do that. Let me camera off for me. Let me take my camera off. You talk. I'll take myself off the stage. Does everyone hear better now? Okay, good. Okay. Teens, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, why don't you tell everybody? Great. I think we got a connection now. Why don't you tell everybody about your history with Chantel?
Several years ago, it was one of the rare occasions that she had come on live with open chat. I went in and made her an offer to help her free of charge for weight loss, because I do believe even back then she had cured her diabetes. So just for weight loss. And I told her, I said, if you don't change your life, you will not be here in 5 years. And she read my chat and just said, yeah, Sonia, I know. And so, but you know, my experience with patients or clients like Chantal is, I tell them, I can give you the tools, but I can't build the house. So, and I'll be honest, there's patients I've fired or clients I fired if they're non-compliant, because it's wasting my time and theirs.
Right. And I think that's sometimes a patient misconception, is that they don't need to have compliance in order to remain being a patient of a provider.
Correct.
And Chantel takes a number of medications that require her to have exercise and diet along with her medications, which I understand, I'm sure you're very familiar with, are metformin and Dunamet.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go to see her eating this pate chamois, I want you to hopefully my internet can take this. The problem is it's a rainy night here in Virginia Beach, and I am sure nobody is out and everybody is on the internet this evening. So I am struggling on the probably with the internet tonight. It's just how it goes sometimes. And I've turned every other device off that uses internet in my house except my phone off or my watch. I've turned the phone off, everything. So I'm hoping everyone can hear us okay. I'm hoping. Can you hear me okay, friends?
Yeah, it's a little splotchy at times, but I can make it out.
Okay, well, I'm just going to reload the page because for some reason, I apologize. The sound seems to be real on my end. So anyway, I'm going to remove myself from the stage, and I'm going to let you talk this audience through Chantel's meal cheekbone because I think if I'm the one, on the stage, I might just I don't know. StreamYard is going to do a perfect copy later. I don't want to. I
Well,
see my. Can you hear me? Okay. I'm going to bring up. I'm going to bring Chantel now to the screen. Let's get Chantel going. Here she comes. So you're going to just love this recipe. Are you ready? Can you see this here?
Oh, Lord, jeez.
Now, I don't know if you know yesterday, she claimed she had a fasting blood sugar. It turns out I calculated it from the 9.4 moles over the mgs that she uses, that it was 169.2. And she felt that was very good for fasting blood sugar. She also does like to intermittently fast. And so she says she doesn't eat any breakfast. So,
well,
what do you feel about
it's
that?
hard to eat when you're asleep. I mean, and I, I know I've heard the argument that the fasting, yes, you include sleep time. No, you don't. But the point is with Chantal is if she's fasting, she's sleeping. That's the point with her.
Right. And I actually mentioned this something yesterday in one of my streams is that in reality, there isn't really the need to do all these long fasting periods and kind of put all your calories in 6 hours of the day, which I feel is quite difficult to do, even if you were not a type 2 diabetic like Chantel.
Yes.
So before we jump into this lovely looking pie here, what do you think about the number of meals that, say, somebody like Chantel should be eating or how she should be eating? Because you're going to see what she's going to eat portion-wise very shortly.
Yeah, one of the reasons I'm really happy that you're doing this is because I see so much misinformation in the community. a diabetic, you can have anything on a diabetic diet, but it's all about portions. I've done meal plans that included bourbon and chitlins. Actually, chitlins are quite high in carbohydrates for all you people that eat chitlins, but they have to be consistent. You have to get your set number of carbs for however you're going to do it. When I do meal plans, it's, how do you eat? Do you have 3 meals a day? Do you have 2 meals a day and 2 snacks? What's your eating pattern? And I lay out the number of carbohydrates they need per meals and snacks. And I stress to them, you need to stick to this. The same times you need to eat and snacks at the same time, so you're not getting these jippity jumpities on your blood sugars.
Absolutely.
So yeah, but you can have anything. You can have white bread, you can have rice, you can have potatoes, you can have all that. So, but it's just, I think a carbohydrate serving of cornbread is like 2 inches by 2 inches, and that's not big. But, you can have watermelon, you can have fruit, you can have all that. It's just the portion sizes. And she really, and I don't know anything about the healthcare system in Kuwait, but I cannot imagine an endocrinologist over there does not have a diabetic diet educator or a registered dietitian that they could refer her to. I just don't see that.
Right. I think her biggest problem is that she's not really a long-term resident in Kuwait, that she's there on a tourist visa. So
Yeah.
she's not receiving any long-term care, even though she's been there for over a year, because she's kind of dodging the residency status at this time. So she's no real provider. She thinks
correct.
Right. She thinks she's diet controlling. And I think one of the questions I often get is if somebody like Chantel can actually manage diabetes the way she is without a proper provider.
She really just, when she went to Canada, she could have at least got diet education. She could have got some basic things to help her. But at the end of the day, she doesn't want to do it. And I can tell you, if I got her as a client, if she came to me, I would want all her medical records. I would want her medication list. I would probably want a 3-day diet recall from her, because with her, it's tricky, because it's not just, oh, I'm diabetic. She has an enlarged heart. She has liver disease. And I'm telling you, and it's, I'm thinking probably it's going to be them kidneys going to take her out. I worked in a dialysis unit. She has kidney failure, probably stage 3 minimum, if not stage 4 CKD.
Right. And that's what I've said to people who've asked me, like, if she has acute kidney failure. And I said, well, no, because acute has to have an acute event to bring on acute, like a heart attack, it has to then take it out. That she is more likely to get chronic, because the heart is not going to be blood flowing to those kidneys after a while. And it's going to start shutting those kidneys down. And it's probably one of the worst patients I've ever dealt with when I worked in hospice, was in-stage dialysis patients.
Absolutely. And in you're working in dialysis, the common thread that I saw in all my patients were non-compliant diabetes and high blood pressure. Those 2 things are what put them in those chairs for 4 hours, 3 times a week. Those
and they
2
often
things
go together. And they often go together.
Absolutely.
Right. The heart disease and the diabetes. There are times where they're obviously separate, but having been a cardiac nurse for many years, I do understand that they do go, hand in hand together most of the time. So anyway, yeah, she's very non-compliant, I think, is, and it does make, I feel the same way you do, Cheekbones, about the misinformation about what to eat. And, I was explaining about the gallbladder too, that, despite maybe it's not the best idea, you can eat these meals still. And really the big thing is portion control. And in the case of Chantel's meal, I think this might be just a little bit more than portion control.
Oh, I've never seen portion control when it comes to Chantal. Never.
Yeah, and I'm going to try to get better internet, people. I think I need a better modem. Hey, I'm a single lady. I try to upgrade stuff as best I can. So I can have better lives in the future and not have this. I think the rain is not helping me tonight either in my neighborhood. Anyway, okay, let's keep playing this meal. And we're going to let you go. We're going to go along for a minute and let you just kind of soak it in, Sonia. Just soak it in because I know you're going to love it. Think about it. She said she was 169.2 on her fasting blood sugar yesterday. Okay.
Well, I don't believe anything that she shows, be it a blood sugar or says, because we all know Chantal is a lying liar who lies. I say, are you serious? Want to know what we think about the juice consumption? It's absolutely ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous.
Oh gosh, I almost had a meltdown yesterday on a grocery haul when I was going live. I was just, and it's not to kind of shame what people would choose for food, but it just reaches a point where it's like just the lack of any color that would show, or just it was bad. Anyway, let's just get on with this pie because I'm going to bring this up a little bit larger. Okay, there we go. And let's just take it's supposedly a French, and she didn't spell French correctly down here.
A finch. Okay.
A finch, which is neither a bird. Maybe this is something in Canada that I'm unaware of, but she needs to have, I thought she was a English major, but anyway, she's got a Finch Canadian comfort dish up here. Which, has a sort of, now you're going to find out what that greasy thing on the top is with that big old oil spill right on that left-hand corner real soon. So let's just play this. Let's just play this. Hi, welcome back to another video. If you want to be cool, don't delay. Download Cameo and order one today. You will regret it all. Make your day. All you have to do is pay.
Yeah, no matter how cute you look, you're not getting
Freedom Fidelia. That's all I ever say.
Hello guys, so this is my way of making pâté chinois, a classic Canadian comfort food. I'm going to start with boiling potatoes with some
Just
salt.
soak it in.
And then I'm going to add butter and olive oil and saute some red onion. It's just one diced red onion. And I'm going to let them cook down very, very well. And then in another pan, I have some olive oil and butter as well, and some frozen corn. I'm making homemade cream corn. I've never done this before.
Keep watching.
Now add to the onions about 500 grams of ground beef mince. I'm going to season 7 spice, Worcestershire sauce, black pepper, some onion, and some garlic powder as well. And I'm also going to add some flour, maybe a tablespoon or so. This will thin up and make like a kind of gravy. And I'm going to add one beef stock cube to that and some water, maybe 3/4 of a cup or so. And just stir that around really well and let that cook down. The liquid will cook down. I'm going to add some heavy cream to the corn and some salt and pepper, as well as a couple tablespoons of Parmesan cheese. It will just help everything thicken up a bit. And I'll let that cook down a bit until that thickens up a little bit as well. All right, and there you have it. The corn is finished. Doesn't that look delicious and creamy?
Okay, let's just soak in this first pot. Okay, I'm going to remove her from the stage just to give me hopefully better quality here. Okay, just starting with that first one. What do you think about the ingredients so far, and what recommendations for maybe healthier solutions?
Well, just first, when you brown your ground meat, you don't have to put a ton of oil and butter in it. And I always recommend a leaner ground, 90% lean, 93, even 96% lean.
Well, she did say 95, so we'll give her 95%, but then she kind of killed that, I guess, with the oil and the butter.
Yeah, and it's I don't know why she does that, but the cream corn.
Well, it seems like her doctor recommended that she should not be eating any red meat at this time. Is that common for people whose diabetes is not managed, type 2?
Well, I feel the red meat is related to her kidneys.
Oh, yes. Interesting.
That's it has nothing to do with her diabetes. Red meat, and it may be something to do with her heart.
Well, that too.
But you can have lean. There's very lean cuts of red meat, but I just was thinking that was probably why he was saying no red meat.
Yeah, because we don't really know all the labs that were taken by her doctor. We really don't know, because she's very, she picks and chooses. I mean, she decided she was going to be having, for a second I had good connection. Darn it. It looked like the sciatica has kind of disappeared again. So what kind of suggestions, because obviously I don't think that butter and olive oil, does she need all of that? Would that be what you would want to recommend to somebody to cook with?
No. There's no need for the oil and butter. And I know the lean meats, it doesn't render a lot of fat, but you can just get you a good nonstick skillet, hit it with a little Pam. That's all you need for the ground meat. Now, so far as the seasonings, I've never put, was it 5 spice, 7 spice, whatever that she was putting, but those are all low calorie kind of seasonings. If that's what she likes it to taste, then, that's fine. But
right.
Yeah,
my concern is if it has a hidden sodium in any of those things with her heart, potentially. That's my ever concern with Chantel. But she bought 2 pillows of salt recently.
Really? She can use ground chicken or ground turkey, the lean turkey breast. Since the doctor had told her no red meat, that would be an option.
So you don't think that using those processed chicken tenders that she bought are good solution?
Or chicken nuggies.
the food for a 5-year-old that she decided to try to purchase. Anyway, okay, so obviously, the cream, what would you say? So somebody wants to make something similar to this. You would probably say you could get rid of the olive oil and the butter to even, and maybe just cook the onion directly with the lean meat in order to get the oils from there, so you don't have to sort of use that to sort of soften the onion. And then what would you use maybe instead of this cream to thicken up the corn?
Well, in a pinch, if you needed cream corn and all you had was whole kernel, you could put it in a food processor. Pulse it a couple of times, add a little bit of skim milk, 1%, even if it was full fat milk, just add a little bit of it to give it that cream corn consistency. Heavy cream, I don't understand. That's just wasted calories and fat.
Do you think does that have any impact on her blood sugar?
Well, there are carbohydrates in any dairy. But I'm not sure how much she poured in there to know what the carbohydrate serving would be for the heavy cream. But with her, with all the fat in it is really a concern, because like I said, she is a Pandora's box of comorbidities.
Oh, yes.
You can't, swing a dead cat and not hit one of them. So, or with her heart disease, and then,
absolutely,
then her liver, and then her kidneys, and then her diabetes. So it's kind of, she is would be a hard one to come up with something for her to eat or a diet meal plan, whatever. It would be tricky.
Yes.
But I don't.
Sorry, continue.
I was just going to say, I don't know. I've always made shepherd's pie or cottage pie, and I always put a lot of vegetables in it, a little bit of meat and a packet full of veg. So I don't know if this is a typical, maybe my Canadians out there can help me. Is that what you do? You put a layer of cream corn on meat? Is that a shepherd's pie?
I would be interested, because obviously in the UK, it's predominantly, it would be, peas and carrots, and then some type of, ground meat. And I used to make it with a vegan, soy protein in the UK when I lived there. And then obviously it would have mashed potato on top. But Chantel adds more to the top of hers, of course, because she can't just have like pillows of mashed potato.
Well, I don't know if you want to wait till we get to that part, but and she could do mashed cauliflower instead of the mashed potato.
Absolutely. Yes. I think the cauliflower, would that have less impact on how high her blood sugars would rise compared to a white potato?
Absolutely. But let me just put my little sidebar dietitian thing here, is that the potatoes are not the villain that everybody makes them out to be. Yes, they're high in carbohydrates, but they also have a resistant starch. They do not metabolize the same way that a piece of white bread would. So, right. So they get a little bit of a bad rap. What happens is that when people add butter and heavy cream and salt and cheese, that's what makes them bad.
Right. And I've said that to patients in the past. It really is not the potato that's really the culprit so much, because they are actually quite high in potassium. And it's really about how you prepare them at the end of the day, and how you assault the food with butter and cream and salt and everything else that kind of comes along with it. And I think you're going to find that she is going to be continuing to add to the level of just the calories here. Just wait. I think you've seen it. So, but I like that idea of creaming the corn in the blender and then just adding a tiny bit of a lower fat, or even for those who don't like the dairy, can add a plant-based milk or nut-based. All right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Let's keep going. Oh, hold on. I didn't bring Chantel to the stage. Hold on. Gosh, I'm like an amateur sometimes. Hold on. Let me get Chantel up here. Sorry. I forgot the queen herself over here. Definitely going to look into improving my internet so I can stream with more people, because I have one where I want to bring a lot of people in. So now I know. It's Cox, I tell you. Okay. They're holding me hostage. All right. Here. Oh my gosh. This just looks terrible. I'm sorry.
And here it is. It's thickened up quite nicely. I'm actually really impressed. And here are the mashed potatoes, fluffy with a splash of cream, butter, and a little bit of salt. Now we layer the casserole with the meat mixture first. Then we layer on the cream corn. And then last, we have the potatoes on top. Now, I'm adding some shredded mozzarella cheese. The traditional recipe doesn't call for cheese, but we're going to be pâté chinois. And it's out of the oven, nice and bubbly. The cheese is melted. This looks delicious. So let's pick this up. Let's go.
All right, I'm gonna stop her and take her off just so I can keep saving the internet here. Oh my goodness. I swear it's because of the rain. I'm just saying. Okay. So what do you think?
To answer, are you serious? Yes. The mashed turnips would be. They're low in carbohydrates. So that would be a good alternative instead of the mashed potatoes.
answer my chat because I'm scared to bring up a thing in case it lowers my internet speed.
Gotcha.
I'm trying to be super. I'm trying to stay in, you know, what I did. The video is at the lowest quality. I can let you know that the replay that will be uploaded, StreamYard fixes all the problems from the video. So even though the quality is not the greatest on the live, and I'm so sorry, I'm going to try to figure it out. It will be when it's replayed to YouTube. So just to give heads up, because we're gonna, like I said, I think it's partly because there's probably a lot of people on the internet because it's super raining in Virginia Beach. And so nobody is out on a Friday night like usual. So everybody is home. Everybody probably in my neighborhood. Oh, see, it keeps coming in and out. And it's been raining horribly today. And I think it does affect. Anyway, let me not talk about that. Let's talk about that cheese on the top.
Somebody said in chat, and I'm sorry I didn't see who it was, but that she literally tries to pack in as many calories in any food that she makes. It's astonishing. It's, as a dietitian, it's mesmerizing to watch.
Have you watched any of Sansa Cook's breakdowns of her actual like macros as far as the fats and carbs and any of those when they come out?
Oh, I love Sansa Cook's. Yes, I watch every one of them. And I'm really glad she's doing that. You know, because it sheds a lot of light. I mean, I think it's very dangerous with Chantal taking, well, I don't think she's compliant with her diabetic medication, but she's eating like this and telling her audience or everybody, hey, you can eat like this. Just pop a few, you know, metformin and you'll be okay. Oh, this blood sugar is really good. It's really good. No, it's not. It's none of it's good. And it's really misleading to people who don't know, because there are those people that say, well, she eats like that. And look, her blood sugars don't look bad. So it's terrifying to me. She should be absolutely terrified.
Yeah, I would think so too. And I've heard that she also potentially, and I don't know if there's any truth in this, that she also potentially misuses her medication and tries to take more of a dose in order to cover the food that she's eating.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what is she taking, like 2,000 milligrams a day?
I have no idea. I have no idea what her actual dosage is that she takes of her medications. Because I wouldn't believe her, sadly, I think, if she even did. I should have put my more professional picture up. I realize my avatar is still a cartoon. Too late to change it tonight. I like I said, we're gonna improve my internet, guys. Don't you worry. Cox is telling me I need a faster modem, and I like to buy everything in cash. But anyway, okay. So yeah, that's a pretty it's pretty scary to think that I get asked all the time, how is it possible that she is having her blood sugars, you know, that level and not have had a massive event happen? Like, people are shocked.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, in my professional opinion, she needs insulin. I mean, that's just how, and I don't know how the healthcare system works in Canada either, but when she was in the ER, I'm sure that's what they gave her to get her blood sugars down, but she needs to be on insulin, but we know that she's not going to be compliant with that. So what are you going to do to help her? But the thing about that metformin, or what is she on, the
Janumet?
Yeah, Janumet. It's contraindicated for people with kidney disease. So, you know, what she's even taking that high of a dose, and already I feel has chronic kidney disease.
Well, she certainly looks like she's holding fluid, I would say, at this point.
Absolutely. And, you know, what is it? Is it her enlarged heart? Is it, The diabetes. What's keeping all the fluid on her? Is it her kidneys? I mean,
right. It could be, or is it both? I mean, I think it could be both.
Absolutely.
I think, and there's something, because she does seem to have to get up and urinate quite frequently. So I do wonder, obviously the polyuria of the diabetes,
Yeah.
I just wonder,
And
her kidneys are going to pay for this.
Well, just Jamie made the comment about she doesn't want to spend money on healthcare. When she was making, what'd she say, 20,000 a month. I mean, look at the state of her teeth.
Oh, absolutely.
And there is a direct link with periodontal. In a past life, I used to work in a periodontist office. I put that on my resume. But there is a direct link with periodontal disease and heart disease.
Absolutely.
And so we know her home care is not good. So throw that one on the wood pile too. There's another one. But yeah, she will not spend the money on the healthcare. Well, it was free in Canada and she wouldn't even do it. So it's just not going to get any better. And I don't see her ever changing. And it's sad.
Right. I don't either. I just don't know, and obviously, we're here for education and entertainment purposes only. This is not to treat or diagnose health. I always have to focus.
Absolutely. And it's hard. We don't have labs. We don't have an H&P. We don't have a medication list. We don't have anything other than what she says, and she lies. So
right. And really... I actually don't think she lied about not fulfilling that full diabetes type 2 test that they were trying to give her in the hospital in Canada, because she complained about them trying to give her a muffin, but I believe they were trying to do like the 2-hour check to see how her insulin responded to the introduction of a carbohydrate or glucose. And that she literally MIA'd out of the hospital at that point, or AMA'd, I should say.
Yeah, absolutely. And Charlie's mom, why isn't she on a diuretic? That I don't know. But, that's another class of medication that can be hard on the kidneys also.
Absolutely.
But, if she was on a diuretic, she'd need to be getting some type of, labs done to check like her potassium levels, unless it was a potassium sparing diuretic. So
and she would have to probably be on Bumex to be more like sparing to the kidneys potentially. I think Bumex is the one that's better for as better as a diuretic can be. I understand that Bumex is potentially the one they give if they think there could be kidney issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she wouldn't take it anyway.
She can't even manage her cat getting to the vet. I mean, how can we expect her to manage so many complex? She's going to have a massive fallout, I think. And it's hard to think that she could be potentially in a foreign country and having that happen.
Yeah.
I get worried about her getting a DVT on all these flights. I have to say, it gets me nervous. Okay, let's go back to this meal. Let me bring her back to the stage. Yeah, before we just get too happy over here. Oh my goodness. Okay, guys. All right, we've gotten to 94 people, so I guess I'm improving my internet connection. I tell you, it was the big rush when everyone got home. All right, let's get this shared. I should have put my professional picture on. Okay. Here we go. Here's Chantel. I've got her at the lowest quality I can get, guys, which doesn't make this meal look any better. Okay. Do you see what she got here? What do you think with that? She's got butter and bread, white bread. She's got, and that we know is probably not the only portion of the meal that she probably ate that day.
No, she ate more than that.
And we have also ketchup, one of my favorites for hidden sugars.
Absolutely.
And we have, of course, we've got this drink. I have no idea. Let's just continue and see what she says. Let's just see. And you keep looking in the chat to answer the questions, Sonia. And I'm just going to be sitting here trying to not look horrified behind my avatar.
Assalamualaikum. Welcome back to another video.
I'm going to speed her up, guys, to 1.5.
So I'm so excited to eat this with you guys. Julia is up here. This is a staple in French Canadian cuisine.
Is it?
Pâté chinois, which translates to Chinese pie. So you know how you have it kind of like the French Canadian take on shepherd's pie or cottage pie. I usually just call it shepherd's pie, but yeah, the French is pâté chinois. Right, so I have a Diet Cola. The brand is Alfie, Saudi Arabia, the Saudi brand. And I have some ketchup. I have ketchup on mine. In my opinion, that's the true Canadian way. If you don't, that's fine, but I do. So, bismillah.
Oh my gosh.
And I have some Brussels sprouts in the air fryer with a bit of butter, salt, and pepper.
Did you hear that?
With these.
Can we talk about maybe a better way to prepare these Brussels sprouts? Because she said that she prepared them in butter on the Brussels sprouts too. And then how many tablespoons of ketchup do you think we got there?
That's at least 2 tablespoons, at least, of ketchup.
Would you say that was needed?
No, and I don't. A lot of people make this comment about she can't eat anything in its form. There has to be a dip or ketchup on it, or sour cream or yogurt or something to dip, anything she eats in. And I don't know what that is about. I find it quite fascinating.
Yeah, I've had some other educators, diabetes educator, mention that potentially the taste buds start to sort of decrease over time, and so maybe they're trying to get some flavor bang out of it. Is that possible?
It could be.
I've also heard that people who do bees, in that way, can want to soften food to be able to consume it before the ghrelin kicks in.
Yeah.
And so that they can get more into the stomach before they get full.
Yeah. Just Jamie, that comment's funny.
What did she say? Oh, she needs lubricant.
She needs lubricant to get it down.
And then she always talks about this air fryer. What's the purpose of an air fryer if you're just going to then cover it with something that's going to take out any benefit of having made the decision to use an air fryer?
And those sprouts, to me, they look like they've been boiled. It's her video wasn't very good quality, but I don't know if they were in her grocery haul. They may have been. I don't really recall if they were frozen.
Yes, they were frozen. They were frozen Brussels sprouts because she learned from the last time buying fresh produce that she didn't eat it. So she decided that she better get frozen this time. And I think the only things she really got were Brussels sprouts, frozen broccoli, a couple of heads of lettuce, like romaine lettuce, some green peppers, some onions, and some potatoes. I think that's pretty much what she got.
Well, it's great she's eating a veg, but, then again, she butter. And, when she says a little pat of butter, what was she was eating? Corn on the cob with a whole stick of butter, 1 or 2 ears with a whole stick of butter. So I kind of question the amounts that she's using. But, I'll tell clients, they have like the little parquet spray butter.
Right.
Just cook your sprouts how you want to. And if you say, well, I really like to have a little butter taste, or butter buds, something to sprinkle and hit it with a little spray, and so you can get a little taste of it, but not to drown them, because I'm sure it was quite a bit of butter she used.
But she hasn't not hit one thing in that meal without butter.
No,
everything has got butter. The Brussels sprouts have butter. The bread has butter. The corn had butter, probably, or the heavy cream.
Yeah.
The potatoes, she said she made with butter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the onions she cooked with butter and olive oil. I don't think there was one item that she was cooking with that did not have butter.
Yeah, and I didn't even realize till just a few minutes ago that she has butter on her bread.
Well, that's what I said. It's even the bread. There's not one thing that she's not hit with butter. That to me is wild.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And I'm just absolutely gobsmacked. I don't know. It's just crazy. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, I being English, let me let you know, we put butter on literally absolutely everything. I don't think there's one thing that we don't hit with a little bit of butter.
Girl, I'm in the South. Butter
Right.
is a food group down here now. Come on. Yeah.
But this young lady has literally had a quart of, a stick of butter, and she came home with 4 things of butter. And I was just saying, she has this cycle of grocery hauls where she has the money from YouTube. She goes out, she purchases a lot of groceries. It's all processed frozen food. It's very little that looks, if you see what she did to the chicken fajita, it was just like supposed
Well,
to.
I tell clients and like I said, a lot of mine cardiac, I've done cardiac rehabs. When you put butter in, let's say, mashed potatoes, you have to put a large amount of butter to be able to taste them. And so my advice to clients would be, don't put any butter in it. When you scoop some out on your plate, take you a little sliver, a little cut, and put it on top, because you visually see the butter. And your mind is saying, ooh, look at all that melty butter, when it's really not that much. And you will consume far less butter that way. And you get that visual of the melted butter on your mashed potatoes. You can add 2 sticks of butter to mashed potatoes and you won't taste it.
Right.
So,
I just cannot believe that she used all that cream. She didn't tell us how much salt that she added to anything. So I would be curious to know how much salt she used to cook the potatoes. How much did she use, because she's got that 2 huge bags of salt. Well, could be down to 1 for now, but at the time it was 2 bags of salt. So I don't know if how much. It just astounds me, I think, to know that she has no primary provider in Kuwait. She's in a foreign country where she probably does, luckily the medical staff probably does speak English, but she has a history of not wanting to spend on medical care. She is continuing to eat this way and to eat a lot of fast food. This meal, I mean, it just literally, I cannot believe that it was ground meat and then it was butter and just the amount of butter and oil that she used for the onions and potatoes and the corn and the cream and the ketchup. I just don't know what to make of this for the sugar. How much carbohydrate, and with the bread with the butter and these Brussels sprouts with butter.
yes.
How much carbs and sugar do you think she's gonna? How would we carb count this thing? I guess is my question. And then let's not forget the cheese that was added on top of it.
Yeah.
For that hidden sodium fun.
Yeah.
How many carbs do you think she's gonna be?
Well, in so far as the diabetic diet, like a half a cup of mashed potatoes is, let me dust off my brain cells. I think it's either 14 or 16 grams of carbohydrates. That's half of a cup, and I'm not talking about no milk, cream, butter, none, just the potato itself. And I suspect, and there was a theory, I think I was listening to Yaba this morning, but that she put, or maybe it was after, anyway, had extra potatoes that she put on the plate and then put the pie on top of it to make, to camouflage, to hide her taters, So, I mean, how many grams of carbohydrates this would be? 30, I mean, I would guess it would probably be close to at least 75 grams of carbohydrates. That's a, rough estimate.
Wow.
And, like I said, when we were initially talking about me coming on is, having to determine how many carbohydrates a day she needs. And my opinion, or what I would recommend, it would be on a weight loss type of meal plan, and calories would be for weight loss. Because she definitely don't need to maintain, she needs to lose. So it depends on how many carbs her meal plan, if she only ate once a day, well, she might be able to have 75 grams of carbohydrates. But
oh no, I almost think she's in a place where she needs to be like with a registered dietitian or like yourself, and like down to like the minimum number of calories on a liquid diet.
Yeah.
So really like get the weight down and probably just, get it down and get the blood sugar or whatever. I just wonder if she just needs like inpatient at this point. I guess that's what people always ask. Does she need inpatient?
Yeah. Oh, just Green Dragon. Oh,
What
that's
happened?
so sweet. She said I sound like her mama.
Oh, that's sweet. I would bring you guys up, but I'm scared if I even flash up a chat, it's going to take my internet down.
That's fine. I
saw it came in. It flashed in momentarily, looking really good. And I was like, darn. But I know the replay Streamlab does work very hard to make it a much better replica. So hopefully, and I'm going to get it fixed. So when we bring you on again, because I'd love to have you back. If you are welcome, if you would like to come back, I'd love to have you back with better internet connection. So we can really, so I don't have to have low quality food either. This food is low quality. So we deserve only a low quality. And thank you for looking at the questions and looking through and answering them as we go along. So let's just keep on going through this lovely meal. And I apologize for the low quality foodie video, people. I know people are gonna hit me up in my comments later on about it.
Somebody, Mads, was asking about coconut oil or peanut oil.
Yes. How do you feel about that?
I'm just kind of your, canola oil or virgin olive oil. Kind of. I really don't use a lot of oil. That's one of those fats that I try to, because you can't taste it. It's not adding anything, but, and I've never used coconut oil, so I can't, but anything that is solid at room temperature, just think that's what you're putting in your body. So, I would probably, and peanut oil, I don't know. I would probably just try to use an olive oil or even a canola oil.
Now, I wonder if that's what they cook Chick-fil-A in.
Peanut oil is peanut oil is always used for frying because it has a high smoke point. So that's what most of your commercial establishments will use to fry food in, is the peanut oil. And look, we down south, we gonna fry our fish in some peanut oil. That's how it goes.
Oh, absolutely. I'm here in Virginia, so you can imagine. We're in peanut country over here. I have the Suffolk Planters Peanuts is just up the road from me.
Yeah. Daft Clanker. I was just kind of, putting it, out about Chantal eating the one meal a day. I mean, I personally do not. I was talking in context of her carbohydrates per meal, but no, I don't think fasting is. You just have to set up a schedule, large amounts of times. Diana, hey girl, that you're fasting. You can't have these 18-hour or what. You just need to get your meal plan. You need to get it set up, and you get your time set. However you're going to do it, your meals and snacks. So anyway,
that's what I've always said to my patients who are diabetic with cardiac issues, if I've not had to get them to a registered dietitian, is that I've always said you have to be very consistent with how you eat, with the times that you eat so that your blood sugars are not spiking or dropping so that you can stay more steady. And she certainly is somebody who does not follow. I mean, she doesn't even have a regular sleep pattern. So, and she's up. So how is that a question I have is as a type 2 diabetic, and we understand in healthcare that the circadian rhythm and, day and night can make an impact with your body. So with her kind of tending to be more of a late sort of night owl and eating potentially large meals, because sometimes she has those curtain shuts, so we may not know the hour of the day. How is that on her diabetes type 2? Somebody maybe want to point that out.
Well, I mean, her sleep pattern, if I had $1 for every time Chantal says I'm tired, Jeff Bezos would work for me, and I'm sure, but that does, when she's tired, if her sleep pattern is disruptive or not regular, you're going to get tired. Well, what the human body does when you're tired, is it will crave the quickest form of energy it can get. How many times have you took a little nap or something and woke up and you're like, oh my gosh, I want some cookies, or because your body needs that energy and you're going to crave, that quick, simple carbohydrates. So, it's not helping her with the sleep pattern to be tired all the time. I'm sure there's other reasons why she's tired, but it probably adds to her cravings for the sweets.
Right. And I think that's part of what I think I've mentioned too, is that this food is not going to give her the energy that she needs to want to go and do anything further in the day.
Yeah.
She certainly doesn't exercise. So she's not exactly like an athlete who's going to be able to burn off these carbs. And I don't even know what the calories with all that cream and butter that she added. I mean, to me, as a heart nurse, my arteries are hurting for her.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that cheese. Did you see the amount of fat that was on the top of that pie?
Yeah.
From the cheese? It was atrocious. She said it was mozzarella. I just don't know mozzarella to make that type of fatty oil.
I've seen it.
Okay.
They do a part skim mozzarella, but I'm sure she didn't buy a part skim mozzarella. I'm sure of that. I mean, that fat just renders out of it.
Gosh, I just think that because she, I think, has been mentioning certainly more and more lately that she is tired. She doesn't have a lot of energy. We don't see the videos out. And this is something we get a lot of questions about, is whether or not she is actually having potentially more peripheral neuropathy. And this maybe just give me an idea what your thoughts about this are, Sonia. I don't think she has sciatica, is my professional opinion. Okay. Yeah. I think because of the way she's not working with a physical therapist and she's kind of in and out with the sciatica, it just doesn't seem very hallmark to a sciatica patient. She really is. What do you think about that gait, that dragging foot? What are your thoughts on that? Let my audience know.
I firmly believe that she has diabetic neuropathy, or should I say neuropathy? Excuse me. That I believe that's what she called it, neuropathy. Yeah, I firmly believe that. And we had kind of touched on via email is she really needs to get her vitamin D checked. Because I'm sure, because didn't she recently mention that she was taking vitamin D? And, she didn't just pull that out of the air, but,
she did, but there has been a number of channels, that, including here at my channel, that has said that I would be wanting to get my levels checked just because she's inside so much. And obviously, as we get older, we know that the synthesis of vitamin D isn't the same. So, yeah.
Correct. And there's two forms. It's the ergocalciferol and cholecalciferol. One comes from the sun and one comes from your food. And so we know that the sun she's not getting that. I mean, but I've seen sun worshipers with low vitamin D. But, I think I would be just curious if her gait is not somewhat, as well as with the diabetic neuropathy, related to low vitamin D levels.
Oh, interesting. Tell me about that. That's interesting. I don't know about that.
Well, there is, I did a paper in grad school, but it was more aimed with the elderly, but it was the mega dosing of vitamin D and calcium in the prevention of osteoporotic fractures in the elderly. But there is scientific data out there that low vitamin D levels can affect gait. So, I'm sure hers are desperately low. So I'm just wondering if that's not part of it.
Interesting. See, I get so many people sort of, just because of the history of Chantel and people obviously who do make commentary on her content. And I have, and I'm so excited to have you here. And I have other influencers that I would love to bring you on and for us to take a look at together, when you have time.
Sure.
Not to use your time, but I think we really can take an opportunity to use these platforms to educate people in a different manner, because I think sometimes the medical stuff can be real stuffy. And so it's hard for an audience necessarily to relate to just seeing these doctors in coats. Do you know what I mean? But that's fascinating, because I think a lot of people just blame her fupa.
Yeah, Jen in the chat just was talking about her vitamin D and her fatty liver. Something else that brought to mind on her fatty liver is, how probably the OGs in the chat know when Chantal had that hospitalization about her liver, when that was, how many years ago, that it was 2 or 3 times the normal size. And
wow.
But what I have seen happen, and I'm sure you have too, is that, well, you have the fatty liver, and then, and hers is diet related. It's not alcohol related, but
absolutely.
You can, and it can go to cirrhosis.
Absolutely.
And then I've seen it go to cancer. Liver cancer multiple times, and the times that I have seen it have been in obese.
Right. And I think that's, and it's not, like I always say, and I'm glad we get so many positive responses to this channel, is that I want to be able to use these people that are kind of, I feel that people do mock them and shame them. They're obviously having issues. Chantel is very problematic, as we know, but I think there's a lot to be learned about health and how she's not managing her health at this time. And, having somebody like this who was told many years ago, and trying to maybe sort of help understand that it's not to shame people about their size, but there really is science and evidence that does point to it causing harm. And these sort of mukbangs and some of the things that have gone very extreme with these creators, Chantel is one of many, like Amberlynn. They're kind of, I think, fading away, but there's still a few that are out there. And I think it's really that there's more, and I had recently looked at the TikTok mom, with the donuts and everything. And
I haven't watched that one yet.
Oh gosh, yeah. And it's not really that we're trying to make people feel bad, but it's really that there is evidence to say that it can have long-term detriment to your health. And to try to find ways to use these creators, I think, to educate the public that comes to this community to say, hey, you know, this is not right. This is not good health information. This person, at one point, she looked like she was seriously trying to lose weight many years ago.
Yeah.
So what happens with these types of patients, do you think?
Oh, sidebar, Dusty Dawn was asking about her vitamin D. I've seen that pretty common, 50,000 a week. And what people, your vitamin Ds, your ADEX, vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin K, they're all fat soluble, which means your body can store those, and there is a toxicity level. So just if you're taking those type of vitamins on your own, I would just, check with your physician, maybe get some checks done to make sure you're not taking too much. But I've seen 50,000 IU a week.
Oh yeah, I was prescribed that because I was a night nurse. And so
yeah.
and I'm very open about the fact that there was a time and I didn't realize. I mean, I was a distance runner, but I always say it doesn't matter what you did 20 years ago. Well, I still run. So, but anyway, the point is that I was so low because I probably wasn't really getting the daylight, and I tended to wear sunscreen when I was out in the day.
Yeah.
And I have been prescribed 50,000 IU a week by my doctor. Yeah.
Diana asked about her sister's fatty liver, and I'm sorry, Diana, I didn't go back. If the fatty liver, if you're talking in relationship to her diet, absolutely, it can be reversed in early stages. But you have to understand, as long as if it keeps going, the more damage, and then you get to that point where it becomes cirrhosis. So
right, and that's what somebody was asking about ascites earlier.
Yeah.
Keeping asked because she's so trunkily obese, which I think is really more indicative of the type 2 diabetes, potentially, if that's her having signs of ascites.
It's hard. I mean, her liver is so huge, and then she has so much abdominal fat, and probably her omentum is, so it's hard to know if it's actually ascites or not.
Right.
Right. Because we don't know. We don't know any of the, her labs or what she's, and I don't trust anything she shows. I'm sorry. I'm just that cynical when it comes to her. But Erica wanted to know, what would we do if we had a patient with, like Chantal, with all her issues? How long would it take to determine everything wrong with her and determine treatment? Well, and I think you're probably on page with me, and you see this a lot, is your patient has to be honest. Chantal's not honest about her weight. You can't start any change unless you're honest about what you're eating, what you weigh. But it would take some, on my end, on my diet nutrition end, it would take some time to sit and talk with her. To get a meal plan together, things she likes, what she wants to eat, that type of thing. And I guess we're under the assumption that she's a compliant patient.
And we know she has a really bad history of compliance, because I believe she was supposed to take a hormone treatment after she had the cysts removed from her ovaries, or her ovaries were removed, or she had a hysterectomy, I believe. And I think, was she supposed to take, what was it, tamoxifen, or which one was she supposed to be taking?
Honestly,
and she didn't take it, and so that's why she got the alopecia, and that the potential of her having her hair regrowth is very slim. And so we know she's very non-compliant. Extremely non-compliant. And so I know. So what about the gallbladder? Just Jamie did ask about whether or not this type of diet and her not having a gallbladder. And we know she just used that as a reason as to why Salau. I was like, just out of nowhere, this young man was like getting a gallbladder procedure.
Yeah, I don't believe that was it.
No,
yes,
none of us do.
I didn't see the question, Jamie. I'm sorry, but
let me go back up. Let me go back up. It was up.
Well, I've got to see a part of her issue. I don't think the lack of her gallbladder is to affecting her fatty liver. It's her diet. Just that's it. It's her diet.
Right. Does you think that her eating the food she does without a gallbladder is recommended? Because I've heard that, it doesn't really make a difference if you did or did not have. So let's say Chantel did not have all her other issues.
Yeah.
Would it make a difference having the gallbladder or not on that diet? Or just would you not recommend this diet altogether?
Well, she's probably pooing like a coon. I ain't gonna lie about that. But I've seen people, and you the patient. I've seen people in chats go, "I don't have my gallbladder. I eat fried food all the time. It doesn't bother me." And then I see here, I can't. Somebody said, I can't eat fried foods. So, it. So far as a GI issue, I mean, that's what I've always been taught in school and done nutritional counseling on is when you don't have the gallbladder that, it can definitely cause GI distress because you don't have the bile to, excuse me, emulsify the fats that you consume. So it just kind of, goes through the chute.
Right, that's what I'm thinking is that, it's not advisable, even though people will and still say, and, people act like they're tolerating it, but you really want to. Now, one of my questions is that she has been complaining about lower back pain.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's her anatomy. When you have that amount of weight pulling from the front and you're trying to keep yourself upright, I think that's her first problem is her weight. I had seen some research about kind of touching back on the vitamin D, that low vitamin D levels.
Background to that and the gait and the vitamin D and all of these again.
Yeah, but
did she say neuropathy instead of neuropathy? Is that how she pronounces it?
I believe that's how she said it one time.
Oh gosh.
but that there has been some links or some thinking of low vitamin D levels can lead to lower back pain. It could be her kidneys. But yes. I think first and foremost, it's her anatomy.
Right. I've wondered too if she's getting any kidney issues back there because of the lower back pain. But obviously, the first thing would be the anatomy would be more. So yeah, I do think she's using sciatica as a cover for something else that's potentially going on. She does not have a long-term provider in Kuwait. How long do we think that she could potentially, questions I often get in my comments are regarding how long do you think she could go on like this, without having a provider, without having proper care and treatment. I just, because I think that it seems it's a shame that she was in a country where she had access to a lot of healthcare services, and yet she didn't really access them. And now is she too far down to return back? I guess is my question.
Well, let's just, all go to fantasy land for a second and assume that, oh, Chantal, she's really serious now. And she gets a diabetic diet and she sticks to it. And yes, I'm going to take my insulin and, I'm going on my walks, and she drops a tremendous amount of weight. Her enlarged heart's not going away.
Right. What if she's not medicating for Entresto or anything?
Yeah. I suspect that she's probably have some form of cirrhosis, and her kidney damage is not going to go away. So she's still going to be left with these chronic health issues, with these comorbidity. I mean, she's going to be stuck with them. And
what about the diabetic retinopathy? What about all the squinting? What do you think?
Oh, I'm sure her eyes, I'm sure that sugar has wreaked havoc on her retinas. But she squinted for years. But I mean, I truly would like to know when she really got the diagnosis of being diabetic, because I think it was way before she went to the villa. I'm sure she was showing signs of it in high school. So we don't know how long she's really been a non-compliant diabetic, but you have to pile everything else on it. And, and I'm not trying to be morbid. I really wish, I was really rooting for her to stay in Canada and kick old slaw to the curb and get healthy. And, I thought maybe, this will help her, because I feel like a lot of her anger and hatred comes from what she feels about herself. But she just gave all that up, and I hate to say it, but I don't believe she'll be here within 5 years. If she's here, she'll be bedbound and probably some type of a stroke, and will be on a tube feeding.
God, yeah, that's like terrible. That's a terrible outcome. My thought too is that, or she just has a massive MI.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But, then you're like, I don't know. Them kidneys are in the, they're in the running. It might be them kidneys, or, it's just so many things.
Well, I wonder if, she doesn't take care of the eyes. And I've had patients, type 1 diabetics, who have not managed their diabetes very well, through their 20s, and have gone partially blind in one eye because of the diabetic retinopathy. So I do get concerned that she could become blind sooner than she realizes.
Oh, absolutely.
I worry about that.
Yeah. It's, I've had people in my family that were type 2 diabetic and not obese. It was just, earlier in their lives, they were maybe a little, just, they worked all the time, smoked, kind of thing. But
and she smoked. So what do you think about that? She smoked too.
Oh yeah. And she's still smoking, whatever it might be, cigarettes. I think she's too lazy to do the shisha, so I think she's got vapes and smoking cigarettes. Absolutely. And I don't really. You might know, Ray, but what her actual lung issue is. I know that she has some kind of clotting, but I don't know what is the root of that.
I wonder if it's just that she is so obese that the diaphragm is now pushing up on the lungs, and causing that is what's causing her to have such shortness of breath.
Can you imagine?
So that's what so that it's actually just, because I know that does happen with people who are morbidly obese, and that can cause for pulmonary issues.
Yeah. Well, because she was,
and maybe she's asthmatic too. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if she is not somebody with a history of asthma.
Well, she has those puppers. I actually have a twin sister, and she's a respiratory therapist. So when we get in on Chantal, we really go in on Chantal, on a medical standpoint. But I know she takes those, used to do those puffers and smoke her weed and then do her puffers. But
that's very that's a very commonly prescribed short-acting bronchodilator for people with asthma.
Yeah. But,
And she was young, so I'm not thinking COPD as a diagnosis, chronic obstructive pulmonary disorder at that point, disease. Sorry
Yeah.
for those who don't know.
And I'll have to double check with my sister, but she had made some comment about why she didn't think, excuse me, that she had asthma, that it was something. I'm sure you could go back to the archives and find out where that original.
Well, I mean, if she has any problems with her cardiac system, it's going to bring on shortness of breath for sure.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, that's just hallmark that goes with any cardiac. A lot of times, because I worked in cardiac rehab with pulmonary rehab, and many times patients would be seeing pulmonologists for shortness of breath. And it actually turned out the reason was that they had either some type of ischemia, like blockages going into the, heart arteries, or that the oh gosh, they were just having like heart failure. One of the two, like either setting up for an MI or setting up for heart failure. One of the two, or both.
Yeah.
Because they could, and I think that's what patients don't, understand is like, I think how much diet does play a role in overall health as well as exercise. I think that there's so many fad diets out there that are so problematic. But anyway, let's get back to Shanta. We could go on like this forever. It's because I have 161 people. I was just fascinated to learn. So before we do get back, let's go back to the gait. I do want to get back to that strange walking style. So
when she was going up the ramp, walking up that ramp, I felt like a lot of that was for show. She was doing that, old pitiful Pearl act, looking at the camera and dragging her legs. So I think that some of it is true. Some form of neuropathy could be a wound.
Right.
But
so she's saying she's treating her sciatica, sorry to interrupt, with these mystery vitamin B12 injections. Okay, let's get into this real fast. This conspiracy real fast. Let's get into the B12 conspiracy. I have a conspiracy that she really didn't have any doctor's appointments at the clinic, that the clinic visits were just for show because she has so little information coming out from these appointments that it just seems odd. What would that B12 be for? I say potentially if she was receiving it, neuropathy, not sciatica. Let's answer this conspiracy.
Oh, I agree totally. It's for the neuropathy. Absolutely.
Do you think she's actually going somewhere and getting it, or do you think she's just? That's my other question.
Well, I'm curious to know, because my recollection, and you in the chat or whatever can correct me if I'm wrong, but the injections she was receiving were very low doses of the B vitamins. I think it was 12 and was it 3 and 6?
And who would be going, like, if she doesn't have a primary care, sorry to interrupt, why would she suddenly have somebody who's doing all these injections like this? It just doesn't make sense to me.
Like every day. I mean, I've done, nutritional counseling for people that have had either the stomach band or gastric bypass, and B12 deficiency is definitely something that they're concerned with. And I've seen numbness in the extremities, because of the lack of B12. So I don't know if they, are thinking, but, with her, I know we all know she hasn't had any type of band or Bruin wire or anything done, but,
it's certainly not a vegan, because I have to get my levels checked because I eat primarily a plant-based diet.
Yeah.
But these are conversations I have with my provider, who then orders, B6, B12, make sure that my levels are fine. Yeah. And they're always fine. But I think that I don't think a lot of people know that if you are deficient in these vitamins, that you can have nerve damage.
Yeah, Absolutely. And, you know, and I would just like to really like look at her labs, you know.
Do you think that's her diet? That the reason why she's so B12 deficient? Because she eats a lot of chicken.
Well, you know, the B12, you know, mainly heme sources of protein, which we all know she's eating the red meat. But you know, I kind of went down the rabbit hole of wondering about anemia. Does she have pernicious anemia? Is she got a lack of intrinsic factor in her stomach? You know, I kind of, you know, you go down these rabbit holes with her, and until, you know, you get, you know, accurate labs and true labs, you know, that you can look at. I'm wondering if, you know, maybe that's part of the problem. But yeah, she has been, somebody commented, she has been dragging that leg since they took that walk in the desert. But I absolutely believe you cannot be that uncontrolled with those astronomical blood sugars and just like shards of glass circulating in your body for years and not have some form of neuropathy.
Right. And somebody actually, it's so funny that you mentioned that, because I had somebody email me from my watching my last video, one of my videos recently, and mentioning about the shards of glass with the blood sugars, and her saying, I've never had anybody explain it like that. So why don't you explain real fast what we're talking about when we talk about these shards of glass when it comes to having unmanaged blood sugars like Chantel, and then potentially the damage. I'll let you take it from here.
Well, I mean, you know, to kind of put it in lay terms, her blood sugar being so high, and not having the capacity or pancreas to regulate her insulin, it's that sugar in her blood actually is a crystalline form. And, you know, and when you, and it, you know, yes, it's very small. That's why neuropathy, you don't, you know, get it like in your neck. It's your extremities where your blood vessels are so, you know, they get smaller and smaller and smaller. Your fingers and your toes usually is where it starts with the diabetics, because that sugar just tears up those nerves and blood vessels, you know, because they're small there. But her, when she was getting those shots, you know, oh, now I'm taking vitamins. Oh, I'm to help. But I'm like, but you're not changing your diet. You're putting a Band-Aid over a massive wound. You know, you're still eating all the stuff you're not supposed to. You're not compliant with your oral medication. So it's not going away. A couple of B12 injections or even taking that, you're not helping the problem. It's not going to heal you because you still got all this, you know, sugar running rampant. And, you know, and then it goes, you know, to the kidneys. It starts destroying the you know, the forms in the kidneys, your veins and in your kidneys. So, but that's the I guess the most lay term to put it, because her body can't absorb or uptake the glucose into the cells. It's crystallized. It's crystal form, like little shards of glass. Is
Yeah.
that? I hope I explained it, because I hate it when dietitians try to come up and say, oh, on this peer-studied paper from the JAMA. You know, we're all lay people here, and you're going to, you know, people to shut down when you try to do, you know, all that.
I think that's the thing that has frightened my patients the most, was when I've explained that it's like fiberglass, literally, you know, in your bloodstream, ripping inside of your veins and leaving them open and damaging all your systems. And once they kind of start to think about that, they're suddenly like, oh, that's not great, you know? And the problem is that it does reach a time where that damage becomes irreversible.
Absolutely. There's, you know, and that's what I'm saying. She's thinking, oh, I'm taking these vitamins, and so it's fixing everything. No, it's not, because you still have the problem. You know, and those diabetes is such a dangerous bye, Diana. It's a dangerous thing. Any illness or or disease where you can't see it. It's not like, oh, I've got this big growth on my arm. It's getting bigger and bigger. I really need to do something. It's all internal. You don't see it, be it high blood pressure, and your body acclimates. People are like, oh, how can she, why isn't she in a coma? I have seen patients with a blood sugar of over 1,200 upright talking to me like it was nothing.
Right.
The body acclimates. She's lived with these high blood sugars for so long that, where if you and I, if our blood sugar shot up that high, it would probably kill us.
Right. I don't think we can handle a 1,200 blood sugar.
Yeah. But I've seen it. I've only seen one case of it. So her, it's hidden, I guess you can say. Her diabetes.
I wonder how well it's hidden behind filters, because she looks almost like she has diabetic eczema on her skin. I almost wonder, because I keep seeing these reddened marks, and people are like, "Oh, she has rosacea," and I suddenly sometimes I think, well, is that the marks of the CPAP? And then other times I look at her, and she looks like she has lupus, like the hallmark butterfly arrhythmia right on the cheeks.
Yeah.
And I just, and then I wonder about her thyroid,
Yeah. Well,
if you've noticed anything about her skin, because obviously that's always a great barometer to somebody's health.
Well, and somebody mentioned it in the chat, and I'm sorry, I don't remember who it was, about, let's just, like her hair thinning. And I'm sure hormones are part of it, but you see this a lot in the morbidly obese, and we call it PEM, protein energy malnutrition, that the amount of protein they're intaking is not adequate. And I see it all the time. They will have they're bald or going bald because
interesting. That's interesting. I don't mean to stop you, but how does that connect to Chantel? Because I think a lot of people think her hair loss is to do with the hysterectomy and not taking the hormone treatment fully.
Well, and I hope she don't mind, but I'm going to use my twin sister. She had a hysterectomy. Oh gosh, how many years ago? Probably 20 years ago. And for years and years and years, never did any type of hormone replacement. She got a full head of hair, but she's thin. She's active.
Okay.
So, but and I'm not saying it's not her hormones. I'm sure that's part of her.
So talk a little bit more about this other protein deficiency or change that you were mentioning and the hair loss, because this is fascinating.
Well, it's a current theme in patients of PEM, protein energy malnutrition, that they're morbidly obese clients, and a lot of them women will be balding. And when I was doing my internship, I rounded with a dietitian, and we went in, did counseling with a patient that was like that. And when we walked out, she said, about her hair, and she said, it's a classic PEM, protein energy malnutrition. I was like, wow. So, but I'm sure her hormones are also play a level, into it. But you see it. I'm just talking from my aspect as a dietitian working in the clinical areas. Is you see it a lot.
Right.
It's that, and hormones and malnutrition. Just, I know she eats a lot of food, but she eats a lot of crap food.
Right. And that's what I was just going to touch on next. That's so funny that you mentioned that, because I think that is a misnomer. And I'm sorry, we kind of, I think at this point we kind of saw what Chantel was eating, and she has nothing interesting to say, anybody. What we're talking about is way more interesting. That's why I'm not bringing Chantel back up to the stage, because I have great internet at the moment and I want to keep it that way. So yeah. Oh, you finding this interesting, Green Dragon? Yeah, I'm fascinated. Cheekbones is a wealth of knowledge. That's why I'm going to get better internet, so we can make sure that we can, have my horrified face and Chantel better than a 144 quality of video, though. That's probably what that meal deserved. But yeah, so I went off and then I lost my train of thought. But so back to the protein and the malnutrition. When you see somebody eating such a calorie dense meal, how are they malnourished? I mean, this is, I think, and you know, I mean, so talk about that a little bit, because there's a lot of food she's eating. What is she eating that's actually, I mean, is it providing her with enough nourishment to keep her?
Well, you know, on a caloric level, obviously she's consuming enough calories, but you know, your body needs a certain amount of protein, of carbohydrates, and then you know your vitamins and your minerals, and you know,
we have a lot of ladies in the chat and gentlemen. So for the average female, not to interrupt, average lady, what would be a good? Okay, so obviously not all calories we know are created equal, but what would you say would be the aim for the number of calories that we should be eating in the day? So we have an idea when we hear Sansa say the number of calories that Chantel can consume in one meal.
Well, you know, if you're average size or normal weight for your height, and you're just an average Joe, you're not marathoning or triathloning or any of that type of thing, I usually recommend somewhere around 20 to 25 calories per kilogram of body weight. So let's see, if you had a 150-pound person, I'm gonna dust off my brain cells here. 68, doing the calculator. So, you know, 20 to 25 calories per kilogram of body weight. Well, you take your body weight, divide it by 2.2, and then 25 or 20 calories, you know, multiply that by your, whatever your weight is in kilograms. Okay.
Oh, that's interesting. I think most people are under the misconception that you should aim for what they tell you to eat, like 1800 to 2000 calories a day. But it's not the same for everybody. I think that's what we're trying to say here. It's more based on you and your body weight at that time. Is that what I'm understanding?
Well, yeah, I mean, what your body weight, your activity level. Are we talking about in a weight loss capacity, or just this is what I need to eat every day?
And at the moment, just in general, and then potentially, well, with Chantel, she probably needs to be inpatient on 500 calories.
Oh, I absolutely agree with that. Absolutely. That's probably her only hope at this point. But you know, right. and it just
that really is what she needed. And I think that, and not to interrupt, but let's circle back to that and what opportunities that she lost in Canada, because at that point she probably needed to go inpatient.
Well, so are you serious? I mean, you know, like I said, it depends. If I ate 35 to 45 calories a day for my body weight, I would be obese. And it, you know, so it just depends on your age, what your activity level is, what your comorbid, you know, it's hard to say, you know, how many calories. It just has to be a per person, like you said, kind of thing. You know, you can look at data out there, you know, like how many fat grams should I eat a day? You know, and if you go by what the government guidelines are, I personally feel they're too high. Right. You know, so you know, I don't eat that much fat. I have a distinct family history of heart disease. Most of my family members either have a massive cardiac event or die before the age of 55.
Wow.
So, you know, I've for years and years and years and years always watched the amount of fat that I eat. But, you know, if I'm going into the hospital and I'm doing a nutritional assessment on a patient and and I'm doing a recommendation of daily needs, if they're average weight and no wound healing, or they haven't had surgery or anything like that, you know, I might do 25 to 30 calories. But you know, that's no extenuating circumstances. You know, that's just in a clinical setting.
Right. And it's different, you know, and I think that's something that people, you know, the difference is that in a clinical setting and people having, you know, wounds and so forth, the diet would change. And that's what I wonder about too, because Chantel mentioned a while back ago that she stubbed her toe and toenail came off. And so, and then we never heard about the toe again. So I'm just wondering about, you know, with her not managing her blood sugars, how long is it really until potentially she would have something that would start to have, you know, the blood flow get compromised to the point where she's, you know, needing to have an amputation?
Well, you know, you've seen it, I'm sure, you know, with the diabetic and Chantal's biggest obstacle, she can't see her feet. So if she gets a wound on her feet, and if she has diabetic neuropathy, she's not going to feel that. And, you know, they don't heal. It gets infected. It's not like she can do, you know, routine, you know, inspections of her feet. So, I mean, if she knocked a toenail off, it would be terrifying. She should be terrified. Because if she gets a wound, it's going to go downhill quick.
And that's what I've wondered when she started to get more, less active, and then really didn't walk around a lot on these last visits, you know, is that, did she do something? Because she mentioned it one time kind of in passing about this toe.
Yeah.
And we know diabetics do not heal well, especially ones who aren't managed like Chantel. And she then suddenly, the gait went weird. And I just wonder about whether she still has that toe or not.
She may have got that taken off. Jamie Carpenter asked about how many
take
calories.
A look at some of the questions in the chat.
Do I have to eat, how many calories do I have to eat to lose weight? Jamie, what I recommend is, you can Google it and it'll pop up, but there's a Harris-Benedict equation. And you input your age, your current weight, your activity level. When my clients come to me for weight loss, I just say, put a big fat 0 in that activity level, because you just get a baseline. Like, you don't, you know, just your normal, you're not exercising, but it will calculate how many estimated calories a day you need just to live, just tootling along. Then if I tell them back off about 500 calories from that. So if your Harris-Benedict equation came up and said, oh, you need 1,800 calories a day, well, then 300 to 500 off of it a day, because a pound of fat is 3,500 calories, 500 calories off a day, 7 days. So it's about a pound a week. You do, and then you put your exercise on top of that, you're going to lose it faster. But you know, slow is the way to go with weight loss, but that's just a recommendation. And you know, the only accurate calorie, you know, how many calories do I need? I mean, it's like, what is it? Those, oh, help me. Not DEXA scan. Geez, it just, I mean, it's it's that, not hyperbaric. Anyway, it would be too expensive for me and you to go and get this done.
Right. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's just, but the Harris-Benedict is just, it's easy, it's accessible. And just when you have that set amount, it gives you something, you know, to work for, you know, and keeping. Food diaries, writing down. I know it's tedious, but writing down everything you eat and calculating it, your calories, your fat, if you need your carbohydrates, kind of thing. It's tedious, but you get better at it. The more you learn about the food you're eating and how many calories, fat, carbohydrates are in stuff, it's just second nature. So you don't have to count them all the time. But anyway, go around all the way around the barn to get to the front door. But that's what I would do, Jamie, is I'd just do the Harris Benedict and then back off of that, 300 to 500 calories a day.
And that's great advice. And thank you, Are You Serious, for dropping the website so people can actually access that information and work that out. So that's wonderful. And so a lot of people, Mary has a question here about the circulation in her hands. So we talked a little bit about whether that was her heart potentially. And some people have been surprised that some of us in the industry have been easy to spot fluid on somebody who's obviously a larger person like Chantel. So do you see that fluid? I feel like, and what about the face swelling? We got to get the face swelling.
We don't get an accurate picture of what her face really looks like because she has the, I don't know, chin Spanx, whatever that, it's not the hijab, it's that undercap that she wears. But for quite some time, one side of her jaw is swollen, considerably larger. Now, that could just be fat distribution. Life by Jen kind of had that one side larger than the other side. I'm wondering if it's not some type of dental infection. She mentioned weeks ago she was going to go to the dentist, and then we never heard another thing about it.
Right, and that's what I've wondered too, because I do know, and you as having worked also with diabetic patients, obviously as a registered dietitian too. How often should Chantel be getting her dental checks?
I'm sure she has probably adult periodontitis, which that's tooth loss. The structure that holds the tooth, your bone is gone because
I've wondered if I've seen swelling and gingivitis at the top of her and periodontal disease at the top of her gum line.
Yeah, well, it goes in phases. The gingivitis is the first, and then that bacteria gets under the gum line, and then it starts eroding the bone that holds your teeth. And that's why when people get dentures and they lose their teeth, it's periodontal disease.
So, and then I'm thinking about the fact that she's always like licking her fingers and then putting her hands into the pickle jar.
I can't stand that licking the fingers. If nothing else, all the sickness going around, and you're just, God, it just kills me.
Somebody mentioned that she could potentially have like oral yeast from the high blood sugars that she's been transferring into the food.
Yeah. Look. There's just no telling. But yeah, I mean, she is swollen, very swollen. Just Jamie. Yeah, she had that. Just Jen had that. Life by Jen had that. That lymphedema. But I don't know that that's what Chantel's is. I don't know if it's the lymphedema or like if she has a tooth infection.
Right, and that scares me if she has a tooth infection.
Absolutely. That close to the brain, it can kill her. That close to the heart, it can damage the valves of her heart.
Absolutely. I've worked with heart valve patients who've had it through dental infections. And, it's not, I know that people don't want to spend money on dentists, especially in the US. They're very expensive. Yes. But it's certainly one thing I would not stench my money on. I know people think they're always trying to rip people off and stuff. So, get referrals to somebody.
Yeah.
But if she in the phone book.
Well, if she does, and we're we're under the assumption that she has periodontal disease, which I truly believe she does.
Oh yeah, I think I've
recommend,
seen the bleeding gums on her
yeah,
in her mukbangs.
I would do 3-month recalls, twice a year to your regular dentist and twice a year cleanings at your periodontist. That's what I would recommend.
Oh my gosh. I just cannot. I just find it amazing that she has so many different things going on, and yet her focus is so far from it, really. I mean, she kind of talks about her health, and then she talks about her food being healthy. I just don't know what to make of what to do with somebody who is as non-compliant as Chantel.
Well, it's, and historically, if you go back through the years with Chantal, excuse me, is, the binge code, and then she had that psychic diet, and it's like she will do anything but go to medical professionals who were at the time free to her. Because those medical professionals were not telling her what she wanted to hear. I mean, her even claiming she has binge eating disorder. I don't know that that's ever been diagnosed. She told a doctor, I binge, and he said, oh, well, you need to go to this clinic. So, but I think she knows what's healthy and what's not. Anybody knows generally what's healthy and what's not. But I think she has this misconception, if she makes it at home, it's healthy.
Right. And I think that's always, and that could be a common misconception, I think, for many people, is that if it's homemade, it's healthy. But she chooses to plate a lot of food that's already sort of pre-made that she reheats, like chicken tenders, or she makes something like the pot pie, which is just one of the most god-awful things. I would almost tell you to go get something from the McDonald's for that pot pie.
Green Dragon was just making a comment about
the teeth thing, because let me see.
I was gonna tell them, in my past life when I worked for the periodontist, we had a patient that and I cannot recall the disease, but her teeth looked like little chiclets. I mean, they were just little bitty tiny teeth. And she was going in and having like a full mouth of dental implants. And this was back in the late 90s. I think in the late 90s, she was spending over $30,000 on her mouth.
Yeah.
But that just reminded me when I saw that she said it just really affected her, the way her teeth looked all her life, and got it done, looked fabulous, and she had never been happier. So, yeah,
So because I haven't really, I watched a little bit of Life by Jen, just to kind of get back to that facial swelling. And obviously people were surprised how, people knew she was ill and she's been, hospitalized. And I think that's one thing that surprises us, is that Chantel is never hospitalized. How is she avoiding the emergency room?
Well, I think when that liver thing seems like, or I don't know if she went for like cheese or whatever. Yeah, I'm shocked that she hasn't been hospitalized. But when you look at it, she's not had a catastrophic event.
Right. That's what I'm so surprised about at this point, even after all that flying this Christmas.
Oh, I know. I'm not kidding. I thought that plane trip back, I thought that's it.
Me too. I thought she was going to have a massive DVT.
Absolutely. I was like that, this is it. This is it. But, they call her the human cockroach, but you can run, but you can't hide. It's going to come and get you.
Right.
It's not going away because you ignore it.
Right. Right. And I think she does. Do you think because I mean, I've had this conversation in the chat with psychology folk, and obviously they're very cautious. They don't want to just diagnose people without a full, assessment of the patient or a person, So obviously this is all speculation.
Absolutely.
When we get into the psychology part.
Yeah.
But there is a strong sense that Chantel lives in the cluster B.
Erica's right. She just made the comment. It's one day. It's just going to be one day. It's going to hit her. And
right. I just wonder, what is it going to be? Is it going to be a stroke? Is it going to be a heart attack? I mean,
kidney failure.
Kidney failure. Is she going to go blind?
I'm really scared.
Bring her down.
Yeah. Well, for her to be in Kuwait, and I don't know what her relationship is with Salah. I mean, I have my views about a marriage of convenience, but if she has an event and let's say has a stroke that leaves her disabled, what's going to happen? I mean, her family will have to fly over there and then medically fly her back home.
But
and I'm terrified for her. I mean, I really am. I don't wish bad things. I wish she'd get her life together, but that would be not so much as the Grim Reaper coming to knock on your door, but having something that will leave you bedbound and disabled. Then what are you going to do?
Right. And I think there's that idea that she has a fantasy about becoming bedbound. What do you think to that idea, Sonia?
I don't
think, because we've been 2 hours and then we got like 178 listening to us. So
I really don't think that
we're really picking up on the views now.
I don't think she wants to be bedbound, but she doesn't want to make any changes to stop it. So, in that Freudian world, well, does that mean she really wants to be bedbound? Maybe because
she had that little bedbound arc. So I just wonder what that whole bedbound arc was about.
I don't think she was bedbound. I think she just didn't want to. She wanted to lay in bed and smoke her vape and eat her seeds and without her hijab on and be comfortable. Which, hey, you do you, boo. But, you don't have to go on with this, whatever sciatica, back pain kind of thing. Because it, got so much better when I don't know what Salah had done, what if it's truly gallbladder, because here's the deal, they're not just going to show up. Where was his HIDA scan? Where was there any type of medical mentioning about, they don't just walk in and go, oh, we're taking your gallbladder.
I know. It was just like from one day to the next. And then suddenly he's going to be in for 3 days on what generally is an outpatient procedure. It just came on and he was filming. So it came off. Yeah, it was definitely a cover for something that was not his, obviously, gallbladder removal. And I think everyone realized that she's had her gallbladder removed, and therefore she is using it to cover for what we think was another event that he potentially had done through the
Yeah. She said, several weeks ago that he was, it was, I think, right when the sciatica hit her, that he was having the cyst surgery for the ingrown hair. She said that. Okay. So, and then it went to, he's having his gallbladder out. So, maybe he got mad because she, put his business in the streets. I don't know.
Right. But, and then something in a place where, obviously that's a touchy subject.
Yeah.
To say the least. So let's see if we have any questions. Anybody got any questions here for Miss Cheekbones? Because we kind of circled around, I guess. My concern too is that Chantel is getting closer to 40. And I feel that is kind of that age for, especially I've seen women in her age group start to have more catastrophic events take place. And I know that she seems very resilient at this time, but I do feel that I don't know. I don't know. What do you feel about her energy lately? I guess that's what I feel. She's very apathetic. I don't know if it's is that partly the diabetes more than her, or just, is this just has the diabetes always, and then, on top of it, what about depression? I know that cardiac disease can lead to depression symptoms in patients. Is it the same for type 2 diabetes?
Well, it's her diabetes. I'm sure there's depression at play, about her quality of, I'm not talking about her, where she's at, her life. And then I'm sure she's depressed and very, feels hopeless in regards to her, health. So yeah. I mean, it's both. I'm sure the diabetes, physiologically, and then the depression mentally.
Right.
It's just twofold. But she has the power to change that. But she's not going to. People are talking about the C. diff in the chat. Now I'm going to get on.
Yes. What do we want to say about that?
I'm going to get on my dietitian soapbox, and I'm going to tell y'all something. The C. diff is absolutely horrible, and I'm sorry, somebody was a CNA. God bless y'all. CNAs do the hardest. They're the hardest working people, and hats off to you. But when you have the C. diff, they'll usually hang vanc. They have to kill it with antibiotics. Well, that's what caused the C. diff in the first place, was the antibiotics. But your doctor will say, oh, take a probiotic. And let's just take the C. diff off. If you're taking antibiotics because you got a cold or something like that, a wound or whatever, they'll say, take your antibiotics. Take your antibiotic 2 hours from your probiotic, or take the probiotic either 2 hours before your antibiotic or 2 hours after your antibiotic. Don't take them within that 2 hour frame, because you will still present the C. diff. I've seen it. It'll look like C. diff. It'll smell like C. diff, and it's not. It's taking that probiotic too close to your antibiotics. Now, if you're taking an IV antibiotic, I recommend, it's over the counter, Florastor. It is a yeast-based probiotic and is impervious to antibiotics. You can take it with your oral antibiotics. But that's what I put my patients on. It is a little pricey. If you go to the website, I'm not a paid sponsor, thank you very much. But you can go to the website.
None of us are.
No, not in our line of business. You can go to the website, and they used to have a really good coupon on it. But I put all my patients that had C. diff on the Florastor, and it was I'm not telling you, it was quite remarkable. But if you've got if you want to take your regular probiotics, just do it 2 hours before or after your antibiotic. Don't do it at the same time.
That's great advice. That's great advice. And I do wonder if she does still have supposedly this active C. diff. That would be.
There's no way she could have active C. diff.
There's no way. There's no way. She would be so dehydrated by this point.
Tell you, yeah, it does smell like death. But also, Florastor is vegan, also, for all you vegans out there. So, if you're vegan, you can take your Florastor.
That's good to know.
Anyway, yeah.
So, what do you think about all these products that she's supposedly taking, that are MLM products to help lower her blood sugars and give her energy? What do you think about the Unimalte and the Unicity?
Well, I'm not sure what because I know it's two of them that she's drinking. One is her energy drink, and one is her fiber drink.
I think the energy drink just has caffeine, and the other one I think just has psyllium husk.
Yeah, go get you some Metamucil. And with her cardiac issues, she don't need to be taking the caffeine. I mean, just go drink you a cup of coffee, I guess, if you want some caffeine. I mean, for her, it's not a health thing. These products obviously have not contributed anything to her being in a better health state. It's all MLM.
Oh, absolutely. And the thing that makes me laugh about these products too is that they're extremely expensive. So they don't seem to be, helping her. So what about her weight?
Are you serious? They contribute to Salah's wallet. That's funny.
Right. And I don't even think she got a downline yet. Yeah. So what do you think about her stating that her weight is like 300 and some pounds?
Oh, she's
at
absolutely
5'1". Do you think she's that weight, or do you think she's a little heavier than that?
She's well over 400 pounds.
Oh,
and here's the thing, and I don't know all about the jibber jabbing with the scale and all that stuff, but how I know she's lying is when she went to the ER in Canada and she put up her medical records to prove she was there. Why did she mark out her weight? If that's in a medical, if she was 330 pounds, she'd have slapped that thing up there and say, suck it, losers. Look, 300 in the ER, weighed by healthcare professionals. But that she blacked that out. So I'm like, no, that's proof. That's all the proof I need. And yeah, Callie, I think she's probably about 440.
Wow. That I just can't imagine being 440 pounds on that spine. That's just to me. Because she's not very tall.
No, she's like 5'1", I think. Yeah. Yeah, I've had a patient that was 5 foot and a little over 300 pounds. And to think that Chantal's 1 inch taller and maybe 100 pounds heavier is just absolutely gobsmacking. I can't imagine.
Yeah,
but she has not lost weight.
Pulmonary hypertension.
Yes.
And that potentially is why she's also short of breath.
Oh,
I mean,
well, my respiratory therapist twin sister has diagnosed her with TFTB, too fat to breathe. That's what she says she has. So, but I mean,
I did say that she was pushing up on that diaphragm up on those lungs.
Yeah, and her omentum, can you imagine? Her visceral fat, and I mean, yeah, it's just crushing her organs.
Right, and she can't do proper feet checks, which is essential for anybody who's a diabetic. She is not probably able to bathe correctly, which I would think is essential to just keep everything clean. I wonder with skin folds how she keeps them dry. I just, that's a lot of work. I wonder how much she can really perform on her own.
Yeah. I mean, well, just historically, she doesn't have a good track record of, personal hygiene, bathing regularly. But, being that size, I mean, we've seen the apartment bathrooms. She's not getting in that shower. We know that, but I guess she can stand in the tub, but what can she reach? And I'm sure there's some type of yeast infections under those folds. I've seen some stuff. I'm telling you, people, I've seen some stuff where those folds will just become necrotic and basically rot out to where organs are visible.
Oh God, yes. Oh God, yes. Oh God, you're getting me flashbacks.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Oh gosh, yes. And I was just thinking about Salah and what he was having and necrotizing fasciitis. So
yes.
Oh gosh. And I do wonder about her being able, and I've been asked, and what do you think then? Obviously, with her having higher blood sugars, and we'll kind of finish this out in about 10 minutes. So we'll be here for 2:30, and I appreciate all the time, guys. So make sure if you not hit the likes, we just kind of gave up on Chantel's meal because we just realized this is I don't think there's much more to say about that meal. Is there?
No,
Do you want to say anything else about that meal at all that she was eating?
No, I mean, could it have been a healthy meal? Absolutely. But, and it's not hard to figure out how to do that, but no, it's just par for the course.
Oh, well, thank you, Augustina. She said we're having a great stream. I'm just trying to say I think I finally got a better connection. So and I hope you'll come back and see us another time. So
absolutely.
Let's circle around. Sorry.
Well, it's hard when, when, like I said, this is just all speculation and guesstimation, and because we don't have, the information to, we're just talking. So, but if there is ever, somebody wants to know something specific about, in my arena anyway, I'd be more than happy to pop back up and do, I've been out of the diabetic arena I've been mainly on weight management, weight loss kind of thing is mainly what I've been doing.
Actually needs at this point. So if you had a compliant patient like Chantel, how would you start a patient like her if she was somebody who was compliant?
If you by compliant, you mean, she's on the insulin, she's taking it like she's supposed to, and all that.
Somehow she got to where she is.
I mean,
she was somebody whose health wasn't potentially going down quite so far, and came in and was having, wanting to lose weight. Like she started out in Canada when she was like trying to talk about getting back into potentially having weight loss surgery, and was all for it when she went back to Canada at the end of 23. Yeah. How would you approach a patient like Chantel, just to finish it out for tonight, if you were to get somebody like her and she was suddenly awoken and thought to herself, yes, I'm ready to go?
Well, I mean, obviously weight loss would be a main goal that we're setting, and diabetics absolutely can lose weight, but I would definitely want to follow her. I would want diet recalls, what she write down everything she ate, the amount she ate, when she ate it, and then also be corresponding with an endocrinologist, a cardiologist. I would be corresponding with them too, so far as what progress she's making, just checking in, what are you doing? I do that a lot anyway, go across and talk to other healthcare providers. But, if she was going to do it, I mean, she could do it. She could lose a massive amount of weight in a short amount of time. But that would be where I would start, would be with her diet, to lose weight and be diabetic friendly.
Right. I'm just surprised that she did have such a scary health scare with obviously having a hysterectomy and obviously finding out she's a type 2 diabetic, and just kind of the number of organs and body systems that type 2 diabetes can potentially harm if it's left unmanaged. And that she is just cavalier as anything. I think a lot of people just are, I just don't understand the mindset at this point. I think we're just all at a loss. Nobody wants any harm to come to this person. At least I don't. I would love to see her obviously change from what she's doing currently. There was a moment of hope, I felt, where she was potentially, but she does that a lot and she just falls off the wagon. I get nervous for her.
And Are You Serious said psych eval, definitely therapy would have to be part of the process. And if she truly has binge eating disorder, I think there's a lot more that lies beneath. It's not just a binge eating thing. I think inpatient psych would be good, but she has to be open for that and open to discuss. And,
my concern is that the type of patient, the more I sort of read into it, and obviously I'm not a mental health registered nurse, but obviously we all study psychology as part of our practice. Is obviously that very difficult cluster B personality of the narcissism, which she also seems to have a little overlap potentially of borderline, a little antisocial personality. And they're very treatment resistant. For everything, just like medically and mentally often. I think that's the biggest challenge for someone like Chantel.
And Mary Kirkland's right. She needs a huge team of specialists, and she needs family members that are not going to pacify her and enable her, and which I don't know what kind of support she would get from them. I think that's my uneducated opinion is that's probably part of her problem. Is that because I'm telling you. My mom and daddy done stomp a mud hole in me if I acted like that. That wouldn't happen. And
my parents would have no support on any of those types of wild behaviors that Chantel has been exhibiting, especially the way she really does not treat her family very respectfully either. I think you can only push your family but so far when it comes to rescuing a 40-year-old adult from their catastrophic decisions, which she seems to do on the daily. So I mean, I think we've got 4 minutes here. We're going to wrap it up, everybody. Does anybody have any burning questions here for Cheekbones? We're definitely going to have you back, and I'm going to I finally have great internet. I tell you, I think it was that time of the night where everyone just got on the computer in my neighborhood, man. Now they're probably all out drinking. No, maybe not. I don't know. I live in a beach area, so people are wild down in this parts of the woods. But I think that I've just been horrified to see that grocery haul, the number of takeout meals that she's been eating, this pie, the fact that she's probably just gonna finish this pie off really quickly. We know she's not sharing food with Salau at all. I just wish she would. I do wish she would just get back to Canada. My fear is she's going to do some. She has a visa run coming up.
Tell you, why do they change the pre-diabetic number? Are you talking about like so far as on a diagnosis level? Like why is some of them say 5, some say 6? Is that what you're talking about?
Maybe did they change the guideline for what is the pre-diabetes now? I know they changed like the blood pressure. Did they change that? Is it lower that you would be considered? What's the range?
Back in my day, 6 was it, but I think it's actually lower now.
I think now, if I understand, I want to say the range is here in the United States, I believe it's 5.7 to 5.9. I want to say is pre-diabetic now. It's a very small. It's a very, very tight margin. Like there isn't like a big range in it. It's like I want to say it's like 5.7 to 5.9. So it's like that's like where you get to say, oh, I better, change. And that's something I also, before we leave out, because we just got a couple of seconds, there is research that does show that, being up at night can affect your blood sugars. Is that correct? Like night workers. So her staying up at night, would that be harmful for Chantel's blood sugars?
Well, anytime you're not getting adequate sleep, and I don't think it's so. The night, her quality of sleep, how much she gets and her quality of it, I think is far more harmful to her than if she's sleeping just like regular nighttime hours versus daytime hours. I don't think her sleep is quality sleep.
God, and I don't even want to think about how dirty that CPAP is.
Oh, no.
Oh, God.
Catherine says, does that get picked up in a CBC? Are you talking about the glucose, the A1C? That's a specific test.
Oh yeah, no, your doctor has to order that specifically. You have to ask your doctor to order a hemoglobin A1C.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, and there's you said yes, they're forever lowering the values for A1C. My doctor's called me for an upward creeping A1C, still normal. Well, yeah, I'm glad that they're starting to scold people a little bit more, because I had patients that I feel like they did used to let people get too high before they actually said you're diabetic and we need to treat you.
Yeah. And two, if there's anybody out there, let me just put this little disclaimer. If you're pre-diabetic and maybe taking Ozempic or some type of, or even oral medication, and you are on your health quest and you're losing weight and you're exercising, please carefully monitor your sugars, because when your weight drops, so will your need for these medications. And it can really affect you. So just, be mindful of that.
That's great. That's great advice. And that would be a whole nother thing that we could discuss, because I know that there were questions about her and using drugs like Ozempic. And I just know that, I think she's long past some Ozempic.
Yeah.
Chantel is a little bit further along than most type 2 diabetics at this point, because she's so unmanaged.
Catherine, your CBC is going to be like your red blood cell count and like blood stuff.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, there's any of your glucose or your A1C, that's like Ray said, that's a specific test.
Yeah, there's a separate, and you would have to have 2 of 3 different tests in order to be determined to have type 2 diabetes. So you have to be positive on an A1C, and then you have to, I think, show positive on either the fasting or the one where you have to do the 2-hour insulin resistance.
And I believe it used to be, it would have to be a repeat. Like they wouldn't just take one, like the fasting, you would have to do it twice. And that's the way it used to be. Now they change things every day. It's hard to keep up.
The guidelines change consistently and constantly. So anyway, well, I appreciate everyone being here. We've been here for 2.5 hours. So I think we're going to wrap it up, because I'm sure everyone's got things to do, and I just appreciate it. I'm going to look to see how I can ensure that for the next time we can keep the video at a better quality. Obviously, get me on the screen so you can look at my horrified face. Keep cheekbones on, because I know we definitely are going to want to have you back. I know this has been excellent, that we've been able to dispel, hopefully, a lot of the conversation and narrative that's been around Chantel and her health. And and I had some people, just to finish out, and just make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe, and thank Cheekbone in the chat for spending so much of her wonderful time. She's been so busy, and I'm just so grateful that, knowing your life has been so busy, that you have been willing to come and share time to discuss what I think is a really important topic. I see just so many people creating content, and not to say that somebody, everyone has a right to create content, but there is that time when they talk about things to do with, medical things, and it can be difficult if you don't have professional licensure and you don't really understand it. You can give a lot of misinformation, I think.
Yeah. And there's always a lot of, we have to talk in general terms. So people, please, and every patient is different. And we both do our assessments subjectively, which we don't, so we're just kind of, everybody will have a different story. And it doesn't mean that if I say something, well, I did this and this work, not what you're saying. You know, everybody has a different experience. Just a general guidelines is what, you know, what I'm trying to do anyway. I'm not a nurse. I'm a dietitian.
That's okay. You guys are absolutely essential. I've had to work with you guys with so many patients and refer people. I mean, I can't, you know, do it without you guys. I mean, we don't get often enough training sometimes in medical school or nursing schools to really, you know, understand. But I have to say, as part of my training as a nurse practitioner, I've done a lot of papers that have been more focused on obesity, diabetes, anorexia nervosa. So, I mean, if you are interested, I have been asked, and I wrote a piece, and I'm going to try to turn it into a video about like, let me make sure I pronounce her name correctly. Is it Eugenie Cooney? Eugenie? Is it Eugenie?
Eugenia.
Eugenia? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really tough one to cover. That's definitely into the mental health realm almost. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. Well, anyway, yeah. Thank you guys. Well, we'll finish it up here. Oh, a dietitian. I need to get my brother one of those. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that don't realize, and I think this is the just to finish out. How would somebody here in the U.S. get now? Do you work in a hospital or do you do outpatient at this time?
I do nothing right now.
That's okay. I understand. But for dietitians, it is not difficult to get your doctor to refer to a dietitian. I think this is something that patients don't do enough here in the US. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And Catsy, I don't know what's going on with your brother. I live in a rural area, and I was director at our local hospital several years ago, and I was the only one that did free nutritional counseling within a 100-mile radius. I was booked out 3 to 4 months at a time, and it would be alpha-gal syndrome, diabetes, kidneys, you name it. But if you'll reach out to me, Catsy, I don't know what's going on with him, and to see if I can help, because I've always done a ton of free nutritional counseling, because, you know, that's something that's very lacking. But yeah, if you have a good doctor, they'll refer you to a dietitian.
Yes, absolutely. And I've had patients of mine, I was like, you just need to ask for the referral. I said, your insurance is not going to turn you down. You're a type 1 diabetic, and you had an NSTEMI, and now you're in cardiac rehab. I said, they're not going to deny you're a registered dietitian at this point, because you need one. Otherwise, you're going to have this continuing, because the diet needs to be managed at this point.
Yeah. And Catsy, I'm not sure what, we could talk about it. But to reach or get hold of me, I'm on Facebook. If you'll message me, and we'll try to get together and see if there's anything that I can do for him, I'll be more than happy to. I can't say that I can, but and it's under Sonia Hopson, HOP as in Paul, SON, on Facebook. Reach out to me and let me know who you who you are, because people have different names. Then so, but let me know, and awesome. We'll try to get together and see if there's something I can do for him. Be happy to try.
Awesome. That's wonderful. Well, I certainly do appreciate you offering that, because I know that, and that's part of the reason why. And I hope, like I said, that I'm going to be getting, hopefully more of these types of things that we can discuss, and not to use up your time, but I mean, I have some other folks too, and hopefully more people will start reaching out. Because I feel like there's so many, I don't know if there's many opportunities to use these influences that we see, and then be able to have some really good conversations around health and healthcare to educate amongst all these other crazy things. Because I would like to talk to you one night if you are interested about the lion diet and the carnivore diet and all this stuff.
Yeah, Yeah. Yeah. And I'll just, a lot of doctors won't refer or utilize dietitians because other than renal failure and diabetes, nobody pays us.
Right.
So it's right out of your pocket. So, and especially nowadays, do I feed my children or do I go see the dietitian? Well, we all know what it's going to be. So I think that's a probably part of the problem too. I think it should change.
Right. Absolutely. And I think that's why conversations like the one we're having this evening and people being in the chat and support is so important to have.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how much of it goes on. I see all these lol things and stuff, but just having good, respectful, conversations that are more, layperson terms like we're using tonight for people to be able to get resources that are desperately needed.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I don't know that, I've been, gosh, how many years? Almost 17 years. I don't think I've ever charged anybody for any type of nutritional counseling.
Right.
And I've done hundreds of them.
But
I didn't get into this business to make money. I did it because I love nutrition and want to help people. So
right. Yeah. And I feel the way too, and a lot of times about this channel. I do obviously have interest to grow the channel because it means that more people hopefully have access to really good health information, because there's so many fad diets and things that I think are harmful to people in the long run, even though they may net very good results quickly, that maybe potentially in the long run they could have harm on the body, So I think I would love to talk about the lion diet one day, and the cat diet, because that's really popular. So anyway, all right.
Well, let me just say, Kat, see, I was not trying to infer that you were poor. I'm just talking about from my area. There's a great number of of poor people in my rural area. So that's what I was not trying to infer that it was you, or that you had some type of monetary issue. Not at all. And I understand. Yeah, he's sick, and that car ride is not something to do. So again, the offer is still there. Anyway, that's all I got to say.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. And we're talking about it too, in the respect that the access, especially here in the United States, is not due to somebody's finances or somebody even having health insurance. It's whether or not insurance will approve of that and pay for it.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing that can be so hard, is actually getting. And there are times then that I would, and this is another conversation, not to keep too long, obviously looking for the self-pay route if needed, or finding registered dietitians. But I would be very weary. And again, this is another conversation because we could go off the deep end on this one. Just anybody on TikTok or anybody off of social media who's selling a wellness plan or a diet plan. So
yeah. Or
I'm cautious about that.
Or detoxing your liver. If I hear that one more time, I'm going to stab myself with an pen. There's a lot out there.
The supplements kill me.
Yeah.
It's all the supplements that kill me. I'm just like, since when is our food just so, that our diets are obviously so poor that we need to be taking every supplement known to mankind by the time we're 25?
Yeah.
It kills me, the supplements, because I think it's, the harm to the kidneys trying to get those supplements out, that, they kill me. It just kills me. It kills me. And I think that it is such a waste of money, God.
But everybody's looking for that quick fix. This will do it.
Right. And Chantel's definitely been looking for it.
Yeah.
Chantel's on a glow up. Didn't you know? She just needs. He's talking about lip injections.
No.
Yes. She's talking about having a glow up, and she wants lip injections, and she's talked about having veneers, which she probably doesn't have the bone health in her mouth to actually hold a veneer. So
yeah, no, I'm gonna say probably not.
yes, I would say so too. Well, anyway, let's give this a wrap. We've been here for almost 3 hours now, so we've been here a long time. I thank you, everybody. Thank you all. Thank you,
Yes,
Cheekbones.
thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to certainly look into trying to figure out how I can make sure I can get, because I don't know. Somebody told me I need to update my laptop. I think it's obviously the internet. It's not my computer. So I just need to get I probably need to upgrade my internet. I will say I do run on a slow speed, so it may have been a bit too much. And but everybody, thank you so much. Thank you. Are You Serious? Just for being here and moderating, and everybody for being here in the chat. This is certainly a conversation that we are not going to end here. We do all wish Chantel all the best. I am going to say goodnight to you, Cheekbones, and pull you off the stage. So if you want to say goodnight to everybody, here's your chance.
Ciao, Bella.
All right, everybody. I just appreciate it. I'm just going to bring up my music, and I'm going to finish out. It was a great chat. It really was. And I thank so much to everybody being here. And I'm just going to